Joe Perry.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty well.
Right on, man. Where you at today?
West Hollywood, sitting on the porch. It's about 80 degrees out, I think, and it's sunny, and I don't know. It's a great day.
That's awesome, man. You guys are coming to Fargo with the Hollywood Vampires, Shields Arena, July 18th. It's funny you're talking about the weather because when you come to Fargo, you just really never know what you're going to get, even in the summertime. So do you have any memories of passing through Fargo, North Dakota throughout the years?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I know it's one of those towns that I think it was one of the last ones that because we were keeping track of making sure that we played every place in the States, you know, if at all possible. And I know that Fargo was one of the last ones, kind of off the beaten path. But you know what? The fans there were, you know, every bit as exciting. And then so of course the show turned out to be great. And you know, it's just it just shows how much rock and roll brings people together. You know, I mean, we've been through. Now I think we've been through every place. I don't think there's a city we haven't played yet. And to go there with a band like this is like it's a dream come true.
Yeah, and talking about bringing people together, let's talk about how the Hollywood Vampires came together. I mean, this band just filled with, you know, such great personalities. How did you guys even get this thing rolling with all your different schedules, trying to just match that up?
Well, that was probably the toughest thing. I mean, I have to say that every one of us have, you know, gone to each other's shows, you know, whether we were out on the road or have you know, played on the same bill or, you know, done you know, been at a festival together, whatever. And as we're like, you know, saying, you know, see you next time, there's always a, you know, like sometime we got to get together and get in the studio and do something, or we got to play together. We've got to do something. And of course, it's like everybody's like everybody else. We're all, you know, either on the road or in the studio with our own thing, or Johnny, in this case, you know, he's in front of a camera somewhere and doing, you know, what he does isn't that much different than what we do. I mean, you know, he's entertaining people through, you know, it's a different medium, but, you know, he's giving it up 100% in front of the camera, you know, and, but when he's not doing that, he's playing guitar. And, you know, when I found out that he was such a good guitar player, that was pretty much the basis for us getting to be friends, you know, years ago. And so the story is like one day at a time. They were working on a movie in London, Dark Shadows, and Johnny was playing guitar on the, you know, either on the set or in the hotel room, and Alice was there, and Alice realized what kind of a, you know, how good a guitar player he was, and they wrote some songs, and then they came back here to L.A. and recorded some of them, and they ended up recording a bunch of things, and you know, people were dropping by that were either on the road or that live here, and they would, and so they ended up with this pile of music. And as it turns out, you know, I was living here at Johnny's house working on my biography and my autobiography, and they kept calling me, you know, come on down to the studio. We need you to play here. We need you to play on this. We need you to play on that. And before I know it, in this I'm representing the East Coast faction of the Hollywood Vampires, you know, mm-hmm. And then we started talking about putting a band together and seeing what you know, and maybe ended up happening, and as it turned out, Johnny's schedule opened up. Alice, I think, was taking a few months off, and Aerosmith is, Steven's doing his solo thing. So I was busy doing, again, working on my book and doing some solo stuff here in the studio, and we ended up having some, a kind of a core of guys that were available, and the next thing you know, we turned around and told our managers, listen, we really want to do this. We want to get out, and even if it's for like a month or two, we want to get out and play some of these songs and pay tribute to the guys that wrote these songs and made it unfortunately passed on too early, but they sure left their mark, and Alice was one of the founding members of the drinking club called the Hollywood Vampires, and so the whole thing kind of fell together like that, and it just the hardest thing was just getting everybody freed up from their schedules to so we could do a proper tour. And it was kind of late in the season to do that. I mean, all of the best lighting guys and sound guys were off touring, and fortunately there were some cancellations here and some cancellations there, so they were available for some of these shows. And hey, our managers, they really busted their ass getting it together, and so we ended up with 10 or 12 shows in Europe, and I don't know, about 5 weeks worth of dates in the States, and hey, it didn't matter where we were playing as long as we were playing. So we're doing festivals, we're doing casinos, we're doing any place that still had an opening. That's where we're going, and because the main thing is we want to get out there and entertain some fans,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's cool that you guys all realize that you vibe together, and then to pay tribute to all these great artists. It's going to be awesome to see familiar songs with the star power you guys have. It's going to be cool, and I want to talk to you about being cool because, man, growing up as a rock fan, there's nobody cooler than Joe Perry. Watching you play guitar, the way you handle yourself. And I just want to ask you if you feel like music, and especially rock music, has lost a little bit of its cool factor. And if it has, what do you think could happen to bring it back?
Well, that's tough. I mean, I'll definitely give you it's changed a lot. I mean, it's become, when I first heard rock and roll, and there was one playlist. It was you were either in the top 10 or you weren't. Now there's 20 playlists, and there's country, adult rock, contemporary, whatever, and all this other stuff, and there's the pop music and all that, and it's but it seems like the kind of classic rock that we're talking about is really making a comeback. I see a lot more fans in the audience, that are anywhere from 14 to say 30 years old that you didn't see in the audience before, and it's like I think they appreciate that music, in a way that it's just coming around again. It's never, maybe it's never gone away. It's just that the pop end of music is it still has its fans. There's always been that aspect of it, but hey, as long as there are bands like or musicians like bands like AC/DC and Guns N' Roses finally got back together. God, after I mean, we knew it was going to happen, but we never knew when. Or we were hoping anyway, and it. So I don't know. There's a certain part of it that I don't know if it ever left. I think that I mean, you seem to have a handle on what it was like at a certain point when it was really like say in the 80s and the 90s when things were really rocking. I mean, let's face it, that was like I would say the golden years. The MTV was there was always videos. There was always the music was like constantly moving, and there were new bands coming out all the time. But I don't know. It's just changed so much from everything. From where you get your music, on the radio, on the MP3, whatever. I don't know. Even vinyl is starting to have, more and more bands are putting their music out on vinyl. It sounds the best, and people are starting to discover that again. So it still has that energy and that feel. Like when I go out there with Aerosmith and we get on stage and we're just getting ready to go, it doesn't feel too much different than it did 40 years ago. It's really interesting, to see how I see it go through these changes. I mean, obviously, back then it was a lot more of a social statement to play guitar, to a lot of people were more into the politics of things and the social upheaval that was going on then, and I think rock and roll had a lot to do with some of the things some of the changes that have happened over the years, and I think a couple of the things that have been lost are that it's become more of a people don't look at you strange if you're walking down the street with a guitar case in your hands. I remember when I first got a guitar and with a case, and it was like everybody would sometimes you'd be the center of attention. People would come around and go, do you play guitar? What are your favorite bands and that kind of thing? And you trade records and things like that. So it was kind of an underground thing, and it was like a lot of musicians used it for a way to help make things better. Whether it was again social change and to protest the war. There was the Vietnam War was going on when at the same time some of these bands were out there making the kind of music they were making, and I don't think that you get that kind of push anymore that you used to, and so from that point of view, it has lost some of its panache, but on the other hand, it's a little bit more widely accepted. I mean, you don't have to look in your rearview mirror every time the blue light goes on, and it definitely has changed. I don't know. Hey, I still love getting on stage and playing. It feels the same, It's and the fans seem to be as excited about it as we do. And as long as that happens, it's still there, man. And to bring, like, if you added up all the hours that all the guys in the Hollywood Vampires have been on stage entertaining people, I mean, it goes into the hundreds, and we're bringing all that experience and all that energy out there, and it's and I have to say we have as much fun doing it as the fans do listening to it. So I don't know. It's a tough question, man. I didn't get into it for the glamour or the glory. I got into it because I love to play rock and roll. I love to listen to rock and roll, and I like to go to see bands play. And there's a lot of really good bands out there, a lot of new ones. A lot of young guys out there. Trying new stuff. When I played with Pitbull on his single, Bad Man, and then played on the Grammys. I mean, that never would have happened, 40 years ago. I mean, to actually be not only have be on stage with a band like this, like with the Hollywood Vampires, but also to sit in with a cat like Pitbull, who's an incredible talent, and he's a mover and a shaker, and and his whole he's moving music to a new place. And it was just great hanging with him and getting to know him, and in a lot of ways that hasn't changed at all, So I don't know. It's in some ways it's just as exciting for us now as it was then. As far as the glamour part, do we still ride around in rented in chartered jets and helicopters and but I still take taxis once in a while.
Well, we can't wait to see the Hollywood Vampires. You guys going to be in Fargo at Shields Arena July 18th. Anything you want to say to your fans up here in the Fargo area?
Well, we're looking forward to being there. I mean, again, I'm speaking for everybody in the band. I've done enough interviews with all the guys, know what they're thinking, and over the years, and of their experiences, when they get asked questions, and so when I've known Alice for 30 years, and Johnny, and I've known, all different amounts of time, but sometimes it's not the amount of time; it's the experiences you have and the stuff that you talk about, And Johnny's a knockout on guitar, and he's going to bring every bit of that to the stage. And Alice, I mean, he's an old pro, man. I mean, he's one of the lucky ones to survive. And we're going to pay tribute to those guys that didn't, and we're all going to have a good time. And and I don't know when the next time will be when this is going to happen. So if you want to catch it when you can.
There it is. We can't wait to soak it in coming up in July. Joe Perry doesn't get any better than you, man. Thanks so much for the time. We'll see you in July, man.
Okay, thanks a lot.